Welcome back, Stas23 here, back again with some knife therapy. And today we're out in the woods because we are taking a look at the Srk Leblanc, that is Self-Reliant Knives. New company to me, very, very nice gentleman that is the owner, Mr. Averill, super nice guy. Cliff has been so kind, answered all my questions, and today we're going to take a look at one of his knives. The Srk Leblanc will be coming, the first batch will be coming in the next few weeks, hopefully. And the first round will be $180. If you don't watch anymore, let's just say that, in my opinion, is a steal of a deal. I've had so much fun with this knife so far. You're going to see some of the cutting that I did with it. I did a little bit of stuff out here in the woods. Let's get the specs out of the way of the knife. You have a total length of 7.5 inches. You have a blade cutting edge of 3.25 inches, a grip area of 3.7 inches, and a thickness in the scales of 0.49 inches, and a thickness, blade stock thickness of 0.10. And the behind the edge thickness on this particular knife is at the thinnest 12 thousandths and at the thickest 16 thousandths. So let's just say this thing's been nice and slicey, and you'll see some of the cutting probably right about now. All right, let's take a closer look at this. You have a nice classic drop point blade with a nice and even satin finish on there, consistent, and nice fine cut row of jimping up top. That jimping does excellent. If you like jimping, when you press down on it, it really bears into the thumb like that. You're not going to move at all. But if you slide your hands on it, it's not going to cut you up any. You do have a sharpening choil or sharpening a notch right there. And it does clear that plunge line, and you should have a couple of sharpenings before it'll widen up in the back right there. You have a nice, precise point for piercing, and the drop point is such a great do-all knife. Everything that I cut with the knife, it was super easy to do. Cardboard felt like I was cutting through paper. And whenever I got to the rope, I was absolutely amazed. I did 70 cuts, and every one of those cuts pretty much were push cuts. That is outstanding. The steel on this knife is Zephonite, which is basically LC200N, which is a nitrogen-based steel, nitrogen-based tool steel, and it's ran from 59 to 60 on this particular model, which, in my opinion, they did a great job on the heat treat because the knife remained sharp throughout the entire test, and it still has, it still has a nice edge on it. After all that, I could probably strop it up and get it back to hair popping sharp without an issue. Since the LC200N is super corrosion resistant, we're gonna put some concentrated salt water on here in just a second, and we're gonna see how well it does. All right, since I live in the South, almost everything rusts down here, but LC200N or Zephonite's not supposed to rust. Got some highly concentrated salt water saline solution, and we're just gonna spray it down. Give it a good spray. And usually if it's gonna rust, it'll rust by the lettering right there. So we're gonna leave that overnight, and we're gonna see what it looks like in the morning. All right, I'm checking out. This has been 6 hours so far. I don't see any signs of corrosion yet, but we will leave it till I wake up. All right. Next morning has been, I think it's been 15 hours and no visible sign, not even by the Srk. I didn't expect any rust to form, but there you go. I figured the salt wasn't going to be any issue for this knife. I own a Spyderco Spidey Chef and LC200N, and I've never had any issues with corrosion, never put anything on it, and I live in Louisiana. We have super high humidity, and pretty much everything rusts. But these nitrogen-based steels, awesome for people like me that need a knife that can handle the elements, especially when I'm out here in the woods. That is very important. The knife came to me after it had processed an entire deer, which is pretty amazing in itself. because you could hit bone and stuff like that, which they may have, because there was a couple of little small dings on the edge. So I decided to sharpen this on my wicked edge at 18 degrees per side. I was following the original bevel that was already there, and it sharpened up excellent. I was able to deburr very quickly. It got very, very sticky sharp, and that full flat grind coming down to that thin edge, that's why this thing is a slicing machine. All right, let's take a look at these scales. You have this beautiful chili red canvas micarta scales that are removable. You have two fasteners right here. I think they're Allen heads on here. So if you want to remove it, you can. But being that this is LC200N, you don't have to worry about, you know, water getting trapped underneath there and rusting up, you know, the knife. So that's not an issue. You also have this nice contrast with the red and the black G10 liner right there. I think that looks amazing. Everything is nice and flush. You don't have any high spots. Very well done. You can see that the micarta scales line up on both sides. Very nicely done. And I will say, and usually whenever you have flat scaled knives, usually they're not too comfortable. This thing was outstanding. You could see, hopefully, if it's not shining, you can see how he rounded and softened those edges right there. And that right there just really let me lock in. Didn't have anything that was, you know, jabbing me where I didn't want it to be. Through all the testing, I had absolutely no issues with any of the grips, hammer grip, saber grip. I did some draw cuts. I didn't do any reverse, but I never do any kind of reverse cuts. So definitely gets an A+ in the ergonomics department for me. I have a medium-sized hand, and I still have, you know, a good bit of handle sticking out. So I think this would fit your large and maybe even extra large hands, no problem. I also use it with gloves. It worked just fine. I mean, you should know that micarta, when it gets wet, it doesn't get slippery. It usually gets tacky. Now, the finish on the micarta is not polished, but it's right before the polish stage, so it's like a high satin. It's not slippery, but I usually like it roughed up, so you have that furriness feeling. Not the end of the world. Like I said, I had no issues with this thing feeling like it was going to come out of my hand or slide in my hand whatsoever. One thing that really shocked me whenever I opened this knife up and had it in hand is how extremely lightweight this knife is. You know, it's in a medium to smaller range for, you know, a fixed blade, but I have a few fixed blades that are about this size or smaller that weigh more than this thing. This thing would be an excellent backpacker knife. Without the sheath, in grams, it's 75.5 grams. In ounces, you have 2.67 ounces. That is, in my opinion, a featherweight. It comes with a nice Kydex sheath made by Mr. Cliff himself, the owner of SRK Knives. Nice tight fit, no wiggle, no rattle. You got a nice little push-off point right there to get it out. I don't want to shoot it out into the woods right here. So you have some lashing points right here. It comes with a tech lock and two soft loops. So I usually carry if I'm going to carry it on my belt, I usually carry it scout carry, either appendix, belly, or in the back side of my shirt, just to conceal it if I don't want everybody to know I have a fixed blade on me. But with the sheath, the weight is still nice and light at 105 grams or 3.717 ounces. That is outstanding, at least in my opinion. A lot of my skeletonized knives weigh the same thing. It's because of all the extensive milling in here that he did, which, you know, extra detail, and that alone, with the excellent heat treat, how well it performed, how comfortable it is, how good it looks. It has that nice custom look to it for $188, what is it? Yeah, $188, I think it is. Unbelievable. Whoever gets the first batch, or however many he keeps it at 180 or 188, you're getting a lot for what you're paying. Even if he raises the price to the 2 whatever, I still think it's an outstanding deal. You know, but that's up to you to decide. Hopefully this video will help guide you in the right direction. And I cannot wait to see what Mr. Cliff does down the road. Hopefully he does more production knives. I definitely want to get him to make me a custom fixed blade, because he does, you know, some awesome work. He's just turning full time, so I want to support him in any way I can, especially when it's a good product. If it wasn't a good product, this video would be completely different. I probably wouldn't even done the video. In the description of this video, I will have all the necessary links to Self-Reliant Knives. I'll have links to Mr. Cliff Averill's Instagram page and any other links that I can provide y'all. They will be down in the description. If you have any questions for me, please let me know down below. If you have any questions for Mr. Cliff or Mr. LeBlanc, let me know that as well. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, this knife is called the LeBlanc because of my buddy that lives in my region who sent me this. Gave Mr. Cliff some input and on the design work and things. They went through several different prototypes, and I think they both did an amazing job. So if you have any questions for Mr. LeBlanc, you could leave those down below as well, and I'm sure they will be watching this video and answer as many questions as they possibly can. If y'all, like I said, have any questions for me, feel free. Y'all know I enjoy reading y'all comments and feedback, concerns, anything like that. So I hope everybody's having an amazing Sunday. I will see y'all on the next one.